Welcome back, everyone. It's Jay. Today we are here with the incredibly talented actor Presley Alexander. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, you have just scored a role in The Accountant 2, which is incredibly impressive. I'm sure that's extremely exciting. But I do want to hold off on getting into that for just a second to talk first of
Okay.
all about where you've come from. In
Yeah.
the YouTube channel ActOutGames, that was where you started, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Let
Yeah,
me
so
some
you
backstory.
gained a lot of recognition for that channel because you spoke about a lot of topics from science to LGBTQ plus issues, mental health. How does it
Mhm.
feel to have run that for so long and to have had such success with it?
It's surreal. It's been 5 years now since I stopped doing videos every day, and it's wild how distanced I feel from it at this point. I posted a video every single day from age 7 to age 12. I didn't miss a day, so it trained a very strong work ethic in me, which was nice.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And my goal was just to be as authentic about my growing up as possible. I wanted to reach out to other people who were like me or parents who had kids like me and just give an example of, hey, like this is me. I'm doing fine. A lot of people, especially parents of kids with ADHD or autism, get really concerned about their kids. And so I wanted to set a positive example and be like, hey, I'm a normal kid. I'm perfectly capable of doing all of these other really interesting things. I just happen to also have ADHD and autism. And then when I came out, I shifted into posting a lot of LGBT content as well. My parents were super supportive of me, and I received a really good, frankly, heartbreaking response from people when I did that because my coming out video actually had my dad in it, where we talked about his reaction and all that kind of stuff. And I got a lot of comments from people who were like, oh, I really wish that I had that relationship with my parents and that I could come out. And so that really solidified what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be visible and just at least try and be like, hey, there are people like us who are doing okay and who we can do this. We don't have to suffer for being queer or being neurodivergent, but we can still go out and do all these cool things. And I'm very lucky that the entertainment industry has really supported me in doing that.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful. I mean, what a fantastic message, first of all, to put out. I think being maybe not a role model, but being sort of living proof to people
Yeah,
that people like them can exist. That's going to be so, as you say, heartwarming, but also, yeah,
yeah,
really, really conflicting, I guess, in
yes.
knowing that not everyone has, as good of an experience as maybe you did.
Yeah, it's a rough thing to have so many people. I've had a lot of people come out to only me, just like in my YouTube comment section or in social media because they can't come out to their families. And those comments were always like, I'm so happy and grateful that I can be that for you and that you feel safe enough to come out. But also, I really hope that you have a life that supports you soon and that you can get into a better situation where you have more confidence and support in your identity.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like it's all well and good you telling me this, but it's like
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
so so sad that it can't go any further. Yeah. No, I can absolutely understand. That must have been a an amazing but such a
Yeah.
confusing experience. But you've evidently done so well for yourself getting this role in The Accountant too. I mean, that's in the film with Ben Affleck, John Berthel,
Yes.
these huge names, huge names. I mean, what an achievement. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So do you feel like you were made for the role that you got? And are there many similarities between you and the character that you play?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like the role was more made for me than I was made for the role because of how Gavin works. We were cast through like a diversity focused initiative. So the first audition tape that we actually sent in was just talking about our experiences as actors with autism and how we could relate to that kind of role. And that's what ended up getting me the part was me talking about my actual experiences with autism and being profoundly gifted and all of that kind of stuff, which was very hardware neuroscience. And so when I got on set, I had no idea what to expect. And then Gavin was like, all right, talk about yourself. Tell me about like they had this sort of skeleton of the hardware neuroscience that you see on screen. And they're like, all right, what are your interests? How would you decorate this? What kind of headphones would you use? What kind of keyboard? It was that deep where they were like, well, we know that autistic people often have noise sensitivity. So what kind of headphones do you normally use? A couple of the people in my scenes are in fact just wearing their normal noise canceling headphones that they use for day-to-day life. I said I really liked bugs because that's my special interest. And I came back the next day on set and my desk was just covered in plastic bugs that they had found for me.
That's awesome.
It was a really amazing experience, and it felt so great to be listened to. Gavin is such an intent director, and he really wants to get things right, and he really wants to represent things authentically. And so when we were going, we actually had both ourselves as the experts on autism because we have it, and then we had an expert on hacking and computer science who we could consult with on what we were doing on the computers and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that he also had a lot of consultants for the military stuff and for combat. And it really shows in the movie how committed he is to realism.
No, I mean, on the topic of Gavin, actually, I was going to ask what the experience of working with him was like, but evidently amazing from what I'm hearing.
Yes, he's so fun. I was like, it felt like I was just hanging out with one of my dad's friends. Like it was, he's just a really normal, calm, like he's a really nice person, and he was really interested in just like getting to know and hang out with us, which is really important to be able to have that sort of camaraderie with a director, especially for people like me. My autism comes with a really strong social anxiety because, I can't read social cues, so it's like, yeah, it's scary. But I had that relationship with him and I felt very comfortable around him, which was really nice. I remember the first time that we met when we were doing the first rehearsal, I took him aside and I was like, I have to ask. My favorite moment in the first Accountant movie is when Ben Affleck is standing in front of that truck and he does that little like awkward wave. And I was like, was that improv? Because it was perfect. And he looked at me in silence for a couple seconds and went, who told you that? It's like that was a guess, but it's like my favorite. It's such a real thing, and it is what made me love the first movie so much because I could tell that that was probably improvised and that Ben was just like so authentically representing Christian and people like me. Because when I saw that and when my dad saw it when we were watching it together, we were like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. Like I've done that so many times.
No, that's hilarious. Honestly, no, he's obviously an incredibly versatile actor, but yeah, to pull off such natural things, especially when they're
Yes, yeah.
unscripted, it's so impressive, right?
He is, and I think
Uh,
he's not. See, I think he is like relatively similar. He gets to sort of lean into the less like I don't know. I think both me and that are like very introverted people, and that is a really hard thing to balance when your job is being in front of other people.
yeah,
And
I can
so
imagine.
getting to play that character and lean into all of that, like I don't know. It was lovely to have a performance where just like being authentic and being kind of awkward and natural about how you want to respond to things is really just embraced. That's one of my favorite things about Christian as a character.
No, no, it is. It's absolutely awesome. I mean, for you then, with your character, talking a bit more broadly, what type of characters do you like to take on? Is it always characters that you sort of can relate to, or can you go for pretty much anything?
I would love to do whatever. I tend to get a lot of parts that are centered around my identity as either non-binary or a lesbian or autistic because those are really big diversity-oriented casting efforts right now, which I'm really appreciative of. But I also think there's a stage to diversity in media where you're casting queer actors without, like actively going out and looking for them. They just are talented actors and get to play a bunch of different parts. I have a horror movie coming up where I do not play myself. I play a feral little girl who lives in a hole. I'm very excited about it. I can't wait for that project. I am very good at being a creepy little kid because I have the face of a haunted Victorian child and I can stretch really weird. And so it's great. I love that. My goals going into the industry was to do a lot of sci-fi and horror because that's what I watched and that's what I've always been interested in. And so that obviously has a degree of separation from who I am as a person because those circumstances don't exist in real life. But yeah, I do really love playing characters like myself and getting to bring parts of myself to the characters that I play. But there's also a degree of like, I know so many things, and I would love to be able to bring those aspects of myself to characters as well. I'm getting a degree in medical forensic sciences. I would love to play a
Very
pathologist
cool.
or something like that. It'd be really cool.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. To be honest, I'm just shocked that you said face of a Victorian child that's
I do
incredibly
have a
stretchy. Like,
haunted Victorian child face. Don't I look like those little murdered British boys from the Tower of
you know
London?
what?
That's
Like,
me.
honestly, it sounds awful. It sounds awful, and I don't want to say it. You are kind of on the nail with that, actually.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, it's okay. I'm a weird goth. I want to look like the murdered British boys.
I can't believe you just said thank you to that. Like, well, I mean, okay, whatever you say, it's like I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm really not. But talking sort of a bit more widely regarding the TV and film industry,
Yeah,
what do you think is making it at the moment? Like, what do you think's doing well, but what do you also think could be improved about it?
that's a deep question because there are a lot of things.
Yeah,
Okay, if we're getting like specific here, lesbian representation has been really good for the past like 6 months, like out of nowhere, because we had both Arcane and The Last of Us, which are some of the only
yeah,
shows that I recall watching where I'm like that they're acting like actual lesbians. They feel very realistic, and like I can tell that there were creatives involved who were actually lesbians and had those experiences. And then obviously with like the visibility of Chapel Roan being super unapologetically queer is fantastic. So like I'm glad that there's a like an actual uptick in lesbian representation created by lesbians and in like lesbian celebrities having more visibility. So that's awesome. I think that there's always progress. I think right now is especially a critical time for representing neurodevelopmental disabilities because those are things that are sort of being targeted by the world right now. And more visibility for autistic and ADHD actors is great, especially more visibility that tailors to people who might not know that they're autistic or might not know that they're ADHD because there are these stereotypes and it's very clear from how our government talks about it that a lot of people won't consider themselves autistic unless they have like very severe issues with dealing with like daily functions. But that's absolutely not true. We're just people whose brains work in a slightly different way. And it is a really important piece of self knowledge to have. It's absolutely changed my life knowing that I have autism and that there's a reason for these things and that I'm not just like kind of struggling and suffering and not understanding things for no reason. My brain just works differently. And so that was a really nice thing to know. And I think initiatives focused on that would be great. And I think there's just it's an uncontroversial controversial take that there needs to be more original content. There are a lot of remakes happening right now.
yeah.
I want to see some new stuff.
What you mentioned about representation in media is such an interesting point because I think the best stories for people in different backgrounds, I think they come from directors and visionaries that have had experiences in
Yeah,
those areas as well. Because I think there's far too many stories, like you said, where people are trying to adapt an existing story and things like that. But I think what's so important is that we tell, like you mentioned, original stories about
yeah.
people from these backgrounds to understand their stories. Because after all, if they're being told by someone with that background, they're going to get it. It's going to be more true. It's going to be more real.
Yeah, exactly. And even directors that like Gavin that just listen to us and are willing to have, I think that filmmaking is just a very collaborative medium in general. It requires a lot of people working on different aspects of the story. And so directors like Gavin that really embrace that and that are like, all right, like we're collaborating. So let's find people that understand all of these little things and then when we have someone who understands autism perfectly and someone who understands computer science perfectly and someone who understands like military combat perfectly, all of those pieces fall together to make a movie that understands what it's doing and understands what it's representing. And so, yeah, it's really good to have not only directors who are and like main figures in projects who are living these actual experiences, but to have crew members and writers and just people on set and to be willing to listen to them, to be willing to, even if like your sound guy happens to be autistic and is like, hey, I don't think that I would do this like that, being willing to say, okay, listen to them, talk to them about their experiences is also what happened to me on This Is Us. I had writers actually coming up to me and being like, hey, you're non-binary, did we do a good job? What would you change? How would you actually phrase this? And I was super happy to answer their questions and to be able to talk about that part of my identity and celebrate it. And so it's about, you can't mess it up if you're surrounding yourself with diverse people and asking their opinions and listening to them.
No, absolutely. And what an important time to listen as well. Aside from your career, what do you do in your downtime? And do you have any advice for students that are in a similar position as yourself?
Oh, I do so many things. I can't stop doing. I have ADHD. I love to
So
take
you're
up
barely
random
ever
hobbies.
not doing anything.
Yes, I need to do everything all the time. I play a lot of video games. Right now, I'm on marathon playing all of the Zelda games in chronological order. So that's
Cool.
been my life for the past several months. Played them all already, but I'm 100%ing them now. Boy, oh boy, 100%ing Zelda 2 was a fun time. I take up random hobbies and I have a lot of craft supplies around my house. And my honest to God goal is just to stay in just get as many bachelor's degrees as I can because I'm like, I don't think that the university can kick me out as long as I'm paying tuition. So I think I
Of
can
course
just
not.
get as many bachelor's degrees as I want. I can just stay and keep
Collect them
taking
like
classes.
Infinity Stones.
Exactly,
Have
yeah.
them on
So
each finger.
I have a bunch of associates and I'm like, all right, well now I'm in online university for bachelor's, so I'm gonna do that. My advice for other students is that I had a lot of hesitations about doing like online school, and that's made up. You're making things stressing and complicated for no reason. It's totally fine. I've had a great experience so far, and people in real life don't actually really care that much about where your degree is from and how you got it. They care that you have the knowledge and that you can demonstrate it. And so, just like, especially with the state of the job market right now, just get a degree that you like and that you're having fun with and that is something you love learning about, and worry about all of that other stuff later, because people can really tell when you have a lot of passion for the thing that you're doing. And that's what makes people stand out.
I'm so glad that you've said that. The amount of people that tell me I'm going to end up in McDonald's for getting a journalism degree.
I know,
And they might
I
be
have
right.
two. I have
You have
two.
two.
I'm here. So
Get
we're
in.
good.
Right.
I love my journalism degree, people. Don't worry. You are in very interesting times, which is a good time to be a journalist.
And it's so true what you said about 100% in games as well. Again, as a student in my spare time, I'm addicted to on PlayStation. There's the platinum trophies.
Yes, I love my
I am
PlayStation.
obsessed with playing a game until it's like there's nothing left to be done.
I
I
know.
think the
It's just
best one was Detroit Become Human. I don't know if you've played that
that one's,
game.
yeah, I have played Detroit Become Human. Oh, that's a throwback. Yeah, I haven't 100% of that one. I need to, now I want to see all the stuff that I missed because I'm pretty sure that's a pretty big game with a
Oh yeah,
lot of.
it's worth it, but it took me like 70 hours.
Oh, I'm sure, because you have to do all the branching paths.
It is an absolute nightmare, but I regret nothing. Anyway, so social media I want to touch on because
Yes.
that's such a huge thing for both students and people in your industry. Do you use social media and to put it blankly, are you any good at it? And how do you utilize it to build your career?
I should be better at it. I get told a lot by people I work with that I should focus on it more, which is ironic because I was my life for 5 years, because I was very into making YouTube content. But when the world sort of stopped, like started shifting away from YouTube content and YouTube stopped being like the cool, big, hot thing. And like back in my day, I say as if I'm not literally 19 years old, when I went to VidCon, it was YouTubers. It was just YouTubers. And so when VidCon started having video-based stars from other platforms, I started getting really confused. And I think it's great. I love that they're here. I love that they're connecting with a younger audience. I just feel really old sometimes because the problem with being profoundly gifted is that I started using the internet in 2008. And so I have the internet tastes of someone much older than myself. I remember
Yeah.
when YouTube had a star rating system. That's where I'm from.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I remember when we were watching Smosh parodies all day, and like that's what my brain is. I still love Smosh like a lot. And so it's like this new world of social media, I feel very discombobulated from. I try my best. I post on Instagram. My parents will post on Instagram for me sometimes, you can probably tell. And I like do my best to keep up with it and to just be like, hey, I'm alive. But I think there's what I witnessed as a YouTuber is that people will drive themselves insane trying to find a pattern, trying to find an algorithm, trying to find what works and what doesn't work on social media. And in my experience, by the time you've figured out the algorithm, it has already changed. It is it is just stressing yourself out for no reason. The by far the best thing to do is just like be consistent and make stuff and just like throw it at the wall, because you don't know. It's like predicting when lightning is going to strike and where. You can't know, and someone who is putting exactly zero effort into it and someone who is trying to reverse engineer the algorithm has the same amount of luck. So I'm just here to be like, yeah, I post pictures. I post silly pictures of myself sometimes, and I need to go back to posting YouTube videos. I want to do some of my deep dives because I have so much talking and research that I could be doing. And I would love to be sharing that because I'm very much the 3 hour video essay side of YouTube person. And I would love to
Oh yeah.
contribute to that. I love to just
Yeah.
yap about some random topic. And so, yeah, I think it's just, keep in mind, none of that's real. It's so it's just like a fraction of people's lives. It's an edited video. It's it's this weird like liminal space of being both very authentic and real because it is a snapshot of someone's real life, but also it's an edited snapshot and that person is aware that they're in front of a camera and they're performing. And so it's like, you know, it's just strange in between. It's not real. Don't stress yourself out if you don't look or act or live like people on social media. Those people also don't look or act or live like that all of the time. They're just showing their best moments and be normal. Don't be parasocial with people. That's one of the bigger things that happens, I think, especially with younger people and especially with people who started getting into social media and influencers during COVID, which was just a very lonely time for a lot of people. A lot of really weird parasocial relationships were developing. You don't know those people. They do care about you and they love their fans and I love my audience, but there is a degree of just like, those are creators that you watch that are making something for you to consume and something for you to enjoy. And there's something beautiful about that. And you don't have to be like really personally
Be
invested
their
in their
best friend.
private lives. Yeah. There you can have this. That's cool. They appreciate you as long just don't like harass people. Be nice.
Yeah, no, felt honestly. I personally I've been doing YouTube 10 years and a lot
Yeah.
of my audience are on the younger side. And honestly,
It's
sometimes I'll get message requests that are like, you're my best friend. And I'm like, I'm so
I've
sorry, I
never
don't
spoken
know
to you
you.
in my life. You
I
were
don't know who you
13.
are. They'll give
Yeah,
me
it's like
they'll be like 9, and I'll be like, no, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
oh
I can't
God.
do
Yeah.
this.
That's like oh, I have a little brother too, and so it's always really strange for me because I'm like, you are my brother's age. That is so like I don't. I'm not like mad at them or upset at them or anything because it's like obviously they want a friend really bad, and I'm very happy that I give off the energy that I can help comfort these people and be nice. But there are certain boundaries with celebrities that we as a society have always been really bad at, but I feel like right now we're in an especially bad part where like I mentioned Chappell Roan earlier and her just being like, hey, please stop stalking my mom. It's controversial for some reason. Yeah. They're just
It's
people.
funny. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Chapel Roan as well, because I was talking to my sister about this the other day, how she gets so much slack online and people will disguise it as so many things, trying to criticize specific things. Just say you're homophobic. Just say it,
Yeah.
right?
You're
Just at least
misogynistic.
be
Yeah.
honest. Just be honest. Like,
Yeah. You don't like her because she's very feminine and queer. Like she's I've like looked through her controversies. I think the same thing about feminism applies to a lot of Brittany Broski's controversies as well. I personally think she's so funny, but like a lot of her controversies are they're in this very parasocial way of like she didn't talk about this one thing that I wanted her to talk about, and so this and like she does she did you tell her that? Did you talk? Did you is she qualified to talk about that? Does she have like a unique perspective on it? Like just they're people, and sometimes people don't know everything about everything going on in the world. And I think it's a very noble thing to be like, look, I don't know the history behind this. I don't know what's happening. Please go find someone more educated than me and talk to them and learn from someone who actually knows what they're talking about. Don't follow me just because I'm an influencer. I think it's a really cool stance to take. And I also think that, actors, musicians, social media creators are all of us are just people as much as some of the like as much as we are acting and performing in front of a camera. We're just like guys. We're just here to most of us got into this industry by chance and by luck and are kind of just falling forward and seeing what happens. And so don't worry about what other people in the industry are doing. I get a lot of questions about like, oh well what did you do to get where you are? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I'm so sorry. I can't answer that question, and very few people can. You kind of just stick to it and see what happens. You do it because you love
there's no
doing it.
playbook.
No, there's no playbook. You just do it because you have fun and you enjoy it, and sometimes it works out. That's
Yeah,
the rules.
but yeah, every profession, I guess, comes with challenges
Yeah.
in some shape or form. But actors specifically face a lot of scrutiny with any role that they go for.
Yeah.
So for you, then, do you get nervous, and how do you
Oh
overcome
yeah.
these nerves?
I have a lot of, yeah, I have, I mean, I just have an anxiety disorder to begin with. Thank you, Prozac, for making me normal. And so, like, I do worry about a lot of things. I will frequently be talking to a friend and be like, I'm so worried that like, because have this perspective in my head where I'm like, oh my God, this person that I was rude to one time in elementary school is going to make a call out post on Twitter for me, and I'm never going to work again. And my friends don't feel like that's not going to happen.
Oh,
You were
it's felt.
5.
It's so felt.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, but what if Gracie from elementary school says that I didn't come to her birthday party, but I actually just forgot when it was? It's like it's so stressful because sometimes you are subjected to that amount of scrutiny, which is why I've recently privated a lot of my old YouTube videos because I'm like, I don't want to go back and watch every single video that I said, but also I can't guarantee that every political opinion I had when I was 8 years old is accurate to how I feel now as an adult. And so I'm like, I don't really know, especially because a lot of what was really important to document and what I think I will probably unprivate these at some point when there's a little bit less rocky of a political climate, because it was important to me to show what like my perspective was like when I first heard about these issues and when I was like it was like, this white child's reaction to learning racism exists. And I'm like, well, I probably didn't have the most educated takes on it because I was very young and I didn't really understand the whole context. And I'm like, those will be out there once I've had more time to establish what I think now and my opinions now, so that then I can be like, and then this is what I used to think. And that's all of that stuff. But yeah, it's really difficult. I keep a very tight knit group of friends. I'm very lucky that my friends I all met way before I was in the entertainment industry, and they frequently forget that I'm an actor. And then sometimes they'll be watching TV, and then my face will show up, and they'll be like, "Whoa, that's you!" And so I try to stick to. I really intentionally try to stick to a group of people who don't work in the industry at all, because we in this industry, in any industry, but especially in this one, have a tendency to kind of create this like stress echo chamber talking about being an actor and being in the entertainment industry and all of these things and IMDb scores and and having actors who are only friends with actors can make themselves so stressed. And so it's really nice to go talk to like normal people who are like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know what ecocast means. And it's like, yeah, that's good. I
The
need
breath
that
of
to be
fresh air.
sane and to be focused. But yeah, it's nice. The internet kind of gives you, and unfortunately, because the internet is what you're getting a lot of your responses from. So the internet gives you this very warped view where the loudest people are seem to be the majority, and they're usually not. The truth is, most people who are on social media aren't actually commenting. They're just like watching. I don't comment on a lot of social media. I scroll. I'm such a lurker, and so it's important to sit yourself down and be like, okay, this does not reflect the opinions of everybody. This just reflects the opinions of people who felt the need to leave a comment on your social media page. So it's fine. Most people are
And
like,
it's
I
so
don't know
much
what you're
more
talking
often
about.
negative than it is positive as well.
Oh yeah, being a YouTuber is you cannot hurt my feelings in a way that matters. I was a controversial figure in the My Little Pony fandom when I was 6 because I
No.
posted a speed paint of the ponies and they didn't like it because it wasn't very good because I was like 6 years old. My MS Paint video got a lot of traction. I think it probably still is the most viewed video on my channel because people were like,
That's awful.
it
That's
was
so
really strange.
horrible.
We're like, you drew these human ponies bad. And I was like, I'm 6 years old on MS Paint with a mouse.
Oh no,
Why?
believe me, you don't need to explain this kind of thing to me. Five Nights at Freddy's fan here.
Oh, me too.
I
Yes,
know
yeah.
the
You get it.
yeah,
That was the
yeah, I get
bleed
it.
of people that was going on. And so I'm like, as much as it was a terrible, awful thing, and we should be nicer to kids, I am grateful that it's given me a very, very thick skin and that I have, I'm very lucky to have had that experience of growing up in like fandoms like that. And unfortunately, having all of that recorded and on the internet of me having really strong opinions about media and being like, it is the end of the world. What people you ship in this TV show is the most important thing in the world. And then growing up and being like, oh, that was, no, it's not. That's nothing. That's
Yeah,
nothing. It's
no,
fine.
it is ridiculous. But again, that is your world when you're younger.
It
In
is
fact,
your
even
world, yeah.
not even necessarily when you're younger. I mean, Doctor Who fan here. All the controversy online about the current castings and the drop in ratings or whatever. I'm sick of it. Get it away from me. All right,
Go
I don't
away.
care. Let me enjoy my show.
Yeah, maybe the ratings are dropping because people are watching cable. Like, ooh,
Yeah, no,
shocking.
it's ridiculous.
It's so,
Yeah,
yeah, no, I'm also like a long term. Speaking of being a little haunted Victorian child, I used to cosplay the empty child.
that's
And
dope.
yeah, when I was like actually like a little kid, I would walk around and I would point at people in my like, and it's an act. I got an actual gas mask from World War II and shaded in the eyes so you couldn't see anything. And it was. I think it's why I love working in horror so much because I got to make grown people run away from me in conventions because it was just like I
That's
did not
awesome.
let up. I was committed. I was method with that. Just do a little head tilt.
Uh,
Perfect.
That's incredibly cool. To be fair, though, honestly, it's evident that you've matured. I mean, let's be real. No one buys props and things from shows anymore. I mean, who does that? That's ridiculous. But anyway, moving swiftly on. What qualities do you admire in actors, and is there any that you particularly look up to compared to others?
I love there's a handful of things. There's more like things I relate to and things that I really respect and feel seen by and things that I actually like admire and aspire to because obviously like I aspire to people who are very good with their public personas and are very well spoken and like very sociable and friendly. I've actually had pretty universally great experiences with the actors I've met and celebrities I've met. I used to do press as well and I interviewed a lot of people. And my experience. Like I don't think I've ever really had a bad interview experience or had anyone who was rude to me. It was really formative to me to have all of these people. Like we're talking about Doctor Who. Amy Pond sat down with me when I was 7 years old to do an interview, and I got to interview her, and she treated me like I was an actual press person, and it was awesome.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm jealous.
I used to do Comic
Oh,
Con circuits. That was my jam. That's the secret. That was my secret was that people feel really bad saying no to a 7-year old. So I
oh,
learned
that's
to
so
just
clever.
ask. And then most people were like, yeah, I guess. And so then I ended up getting to be like I was an official press correspondent because the actors who famously wouldn't say yes to most press requests would say yes to the official press correspondent if they were a child and they felt bad saying no. And so I got to do a lot of stuff with that. And all of those people were really amazing and really sweet and really kind people. And I really admire just how many, like, it's crazy to me still the amount of actors and celebrities that were just willing to sit down and talk to some random kid who had some questions and were willing to give me the time of day just because I was like, obviously I wasn't a name. I was just some kid, but they were still willing to sit down with me and to respect me and talk to me like an adult and like someone who actually had questions worth answering and worth giving their 30 minutes to. And so I really admire that. That was a really big part of growing up and who I want to be in the industry one day as well. I want to be that person and I want to like remember that feeling and remember being like young and over my head. And hopefully if I continue to have some success in the industry, I can pay that forward and help out other people and, always give those people the time of day as well. And then I'll just like grab for things I like. I love a diva. Controversial, sorry. But like
A diva.
I don't know. I'm just like I have a specific deep, deep love for female celebrities who know what they want, know how they deserve to be treated, and are like, okay, this is I want this, I want this, I want this. This is what's going to happen. I just like that assertiveness is something that I do kind of admire as like as much as it can be rude and off-putting and especially it can be very criticized in the media. There's a difference between being rude and being assertive and
Mhm.
having boundaries and knowing what you want. And I really admire that because I want to remind myself that going forward, it is important to stay firm in my beliefs and my boundaries and be who I am and just, live my life and to be like, hey, I'm very lucky that I have autism for that reason specifically because I don't have the same, like, you shouldn't say that, Presley thing in my head. So I will just be like, why are you doing that? That's mean.
Yeah,
That's weird. And that has not, it will annoy some people who you don't really want in your life anyways. So yeah.
exactly. And if they get mad about it, just proves to you don't want them around anyway. It's like
Yeah.
that. No, I completely get what you're talking about, especially given I'm like number one. get behind me Megan the Stallion with all the stuff going
Yeah,
on with
she's
her.
not even mean. That's what is
Eh,
baffling to me. She's really sweet. She's a really nice person, famously.
yeah, I know. That's what I mean. I will not take a single ounce of hate
She's
given
lovely.
toward that woman. Yeah, absolutely. So, what does the dream set or role look like to you? If you could pick something from the sky, what would you go for? If you could go for a character, maybe a place, go for it.
Okay, I have my actual answer to this question, which is not at all helpful. But so I'll give an act like a press answer first. I love working on horror and sci-fi. I would love to work on sci-fi horror specifically. I was raised on the X-Files. I was raised on the Alien movies. That genre. I don't even have to be a final girl. Just put me in one. I would love to be, especially like I love campy slashers. Anything in that world. Because I also have found in the industry, I love working with horror people. There's a certain
Mm.
genre of person that works on horror films and loves horror, and I get along really well with those people because that's who I am and that's who I was raised by. And so I love that world. I want to talk to more horror people, and I also want to work on just some weird stuff. My little brother is named Cooper after Agent Dale Cooper. My household practically worships Lynch, and so that is like how I would love to do some weird experimental, just creative, out there, wacky stuff. My actual answer to this question is my favorite television show of all time was called Dark Matter, and it aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. And it is so good. I love it to bits. I have interviewed some of the actors. I've talked to the creator. I love that show. I've gotten all of my friends into it at this point. It is fantastic. And so genuinely, honestly, my goal being an actor and getting into production is to be like, okay, I'm going to stay here. It got canceled at the end on a cliffhanger when it had 2 more seasons to go, which, that's the sci-fi show heartbreak that
Rough.
most people
Yeah.
go through. And I'm like, I'm going to fix this. I am going to keep going until I have enough sway in the industry to be like, I am producing a continuation of this show, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. You are going
That's
to
the
make
end
my
goal.
show. Give me my
Build
show
a
back.
career just to bring back a show you liked. That
I
is
love that show.
unbelievable dedication to being a hater on the
I am
people that cancelled it. That's
I am a
incredible.
fan.
No,
I
that's
can't help
awesome.
it.
Totally. I respect the hustle at that point. All right.
Thank you.
So to wrap things up, we'll go for a huge question here. What would you say is your proudest achievement of everything you've done so far?
Oh, that's
If you had
such
to
a
pick
hard
just one.
question. Oh no. There's like I've worked in so many different worlds, and so it's sort of difficult to be like, oh God, like do my achievements in like activism or academia matter more? It's like, I would say probably my proudest moment off the top of my head is I gave a speech on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on civility and activism way back in I think 2016 or 2017, and that was sort of the result of a lot of my participation in those activism movements at the time. I actually got to meet Michael Brown Sr., who's Michael Brown Jr.'s father, and talk to him about what happened and how it was a horrible tragedy, but it also brought attention to this issue and it got worldwide acclaim. And like being around those people, the March for Civility is what it was called, and it was just like a huge group of activists and people who had been through all of these like crazy experiences, and just getting to sit down and talk to those people. I mean, even more than just the fact that I got to give a speech at that march and I got to be like at the very historical site of the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, but that I got to meet all of those people and talk to them and share my perspective with them and hear what they had been through. It's definitely one of the more formative moments in my life is getting to do that. And I still like remember what it was like to talk to people like Michael Brown Sr. and just be like, my life is so good. Like I have been through so comparatively so little, and it's important to keep those people in mind and to help them wherever you can and to be very aware of what's going on in the world.
Absolutely amazing. No, seriously, I think it's clear from what I've spoken to you about that you've done so much for so many people.
I hope
And
so.
I just think it's absolutely fantastic. You should be ever so proud of yourself for everything that you've done. And
Thank
again,
you.
you're so young as well. It's like you've got so much ahead of you, I'm sure. It's like this is just the beginning
Here's
of the road.
hoping.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, thank you very much for that. It's
Yes,
been
thank you
amazing
so much.
speaking to you. No, seriously, thank you ever so much for this. It's been
Yes, thank
awesome.
you so much. So this was awesome. You've been
No
fantastic.
worries.